truly are. Your magnificence shines through. You are perfect, exactly as you are.
Right. So we have been talking about this tool of spiritualizing our intellect. Some call it affirmative prayer. Dr. Ernest Holmes called it spiritual mind treatment. And as I said last week, the teaching of the science of mind in terms of the universal spiritual principles that you've heard referenced this morning are, as Greg said, thousands of years old. This is ancient wisdom that has been brought forward. And of course, individuals, cultures, and generations and time frames are going to personalize it and articulate it for the time, right? So that is what Ernest Holmes did. He was incredibly open at the top and inquisitive. As a child, he was given a nickname, the question mark. And so he was always asking questions. He read philosophy, he read poetry. He was very interested in all the world's spiritual cultures, religions, and he said there is a thread of truth that runs through all the world's religions at its core. And that when you strip away thou shalt not, dogma, ritual, that golden thread of truth begins to reveal itself. And that truth is, there is only one thing. There is only one universal presence, one creative source. It doesn't matter what you call it. Yesterday, with the various people that I spoke with, they were using all kinds of names for it. And Elliot was out doing a demonstration of Tai Chi, and she was calling it Chi, your Chi. So it doesn't matter what you call it. What matters is what you believe about it and what it is to you, the components, the qualities, the attributes, because that is the changeless truth of you. Not only you, but all life. Every expression of life that we see. Now, human beings are unique in the fact that we have been created with free will. So God can, I'm calling God, that which, this one thing, the absolute, invisible, changeless being of life, eternal, ongoing, whole, complete, and perfect. The one thing, the infinite potential, knows only itself, even though it's infinite, contemplates itself all the time, and out of that self-contemplation, creation happens. And so we are birthed in consciousness and taking individual form and then set free to discover, to remember, to awaken, to ask the question somewhere along the line, is this all there is? Is my life about all the to-dos, the experiences, the challenges? Is this all there is? What is it all about? Who am I really? So today, in talking about this tool that Dr. Holmes created, out of this idea that is this changeless truth that is embedded in all world religions, and in science, and in philosophy, and he said one day we'll realize that we're all talking about the same thing. We're just using different language to describe it. And so, but what Dr. Holmes created was spiritual mind treatment, the form of prayer, the way that we spiritualize our intellect and remind ourselves of the truth of who we are. And then in that spiritual mind treatment, to claim, to state, and to build our faith around the idea that we are whole, complete, and perfect. And all of that within us is waiting to be discovered. I receive in my emails little notes from the universe. And one that I got this week that I really loved and have gone back to and looked at says, if you knew, Christine, how normal you were when you thought you were weird, if you knew how strong you were when you thought you were weak, and how ready you were when you thought you weren't, you'd think again, oh, great one, reverend by all, revered by all in the unseen, signed the universe. So let me say that to you, but rephrase it a little bit. Think again. Oh, great one, each one of you, revered by the unseen all of the universe. Where do you think you are weak? Dive into the truth of your being, into the wholeness, into the infinite wisdom from the core of your being that knows how to speak as you. Listen deeply. Know that you are not subject to the conditions and the appearances of your body, of your life, that all of those things are opportunities to point you back to the whole of your being and to remember the truth of who you are. So the title of my message today is Believing What We Pray. That really is what it's all about, isn't it? Jesus said, pray, believing. Now, what I know for myself is that it's not the form of the spiritual mind treatment that I give. It's not the prayer that I make that gives it the power. It is my faith behind that is being expressed through the words that I speak. But frequently, when I start my spiritual mind treatment, I might be feeling weak. I might be feeling tired. I might be feeling lack in some way. Or things might be pretty good, and I just want to really center in it and align in an even deeper way with the truth of my being. So I know that it's okay for me to start wherever I am and to use the words of the spiritual mind treatment to build my faith. And so what do? I go to that place that says there is only one life. That life is perfect. That life is whole and complete. I might say that life is God, the nature of infinite good that is around me, in me, and through me, and as me, and I am that. And I'll say it in whatever way works for me, and sometimes I might even start my prayer, perfect God, divine spirit, wholeness and goodness, bring that forth through me in ways that I can understand and embody right now. So it doesn't matter. I could even have a prayer of asking. I am open and receptive. I am asking to be shown. I'm sure that many of you remember Wayne Dyer and his phrase, "You'll see it when you believe it." Yeah. He is an eternal being, is he not? Oh my gosh. And so I love how Wayne begins that book, one of his oldest first books. And by the way, if you don't know it, he is religious science. He was religious science. That's where he started. And he was a practitioner. And I think it was San Diego where he started, but I'm not positive about that. But anyway, so I love the way he begins his book where he makes reference to water and how if we think about spirit, what does that mean? Okay. When we think about spirit, that spirit is like water. And so he says we must make the spiritual mind treatment, we must make the affirmative prayer be like an experience of water. We want to drink it. We want to dive into the pool of water. We want to get wet. We want to symbolically roll all around in it. We don't want to just speak the word or we want to embody it. All the while remembering that it's already within us and that what's happening as we're speaking the words, and I mean out loud, as we are speaking the words, that we're activating it. That there is that within us that is the water, and when I say, I am the water, it says yes. It awakens. It's awaiting our recognition of it, to dive into it and to pray believing, to bring myself to the place where I begin to feel the yes, the acceptance of it, the knowing of it, the conviction of it. And so actually, what I have done in that process is that I have separated the false belief from the believer. And the false belief, as I begin to embody and activate with my words this truth that is already within me, I'm not making something that isn't there. I'm just bringing it forth up to my conscious awareness with the words that I speak. And in that process, I'm separating the false belief, the error thinking that I've learned in the human experience, and releasing it and letting it go. And as that happens in me, whether I am speaking the words or whether someone is giving me a spiritual mind treatment on the phone, face to face, or I pick up something and I read a spiritual mind treatment, as that happens, the belief is transformed. The belief fades away. The belief is actually that small part of me that believes that is either released into the nothingness from which it came, or it is transformed and integrated into myself as that which it was meant to be. And in the process, as I've said earlier, I'm building my faith. Dr. Holmes says we have all the faith that we need already. So there is not one person sitting here or one person out in the universe that needs more faith. The question is, how am I using my faith? Where am I placing my faith? I don't need more faith. If I'm putting faith in the fact that I'm weak or that I'm limited in some way, that's how I'm using my faith. And he calls that misplaced faith. But when we remember who we are, then our faith actually even becomes transformed. So isn't that an interesting concept, that we don't need more oh, I need faith. No, you don't. What I need to do in those circumstances is to get clear about where I'm putting my faith and how I'm using it. So it's a tweaking of consciousness. Now I want to share with you a little story that I had of spiritual mind treatment in my early years of being with Science of Mind. And I started with the Paradise up above Chico Center, which was actually dedicated by Dr. Holmes. And I went there in my 30s. And from the moment I walked in, my life was never the same. And early on in that process and taking classes, the center put on a cruise. And I was gifted the cruise. Yes. And so, and my mother ended up going on the cruise as well. And it was a Caribbean cruise. And we got on the ship, and of course I had all my fancy clothes. I think it was the 80s. And, dug out some of my jewelry that I never wore. And one of the pieces is a ring, that big 1-carat diamond in a setting that stands up like a crown. And I inherited this from my great-grandmother. But I didn't wear it very often. So first night of the cruise, we dock in San Juan, and I've got the 80s jumpsuit, with the pantyhose underneath, and the ring. And so sometime during the evening, I go into the restroom, and with this crown sticking up from my finger, it was a lot to navigate with the whole jumpsuit deal. So I took it off, and I set it on top of the toilet paper holder. First night of the cruise. And then got myself all back together and, washed my hands, went out, enjoyed the rest of the evening, got back on our ship and went into the restroom. And as soon as I walked into the restroom back on the ship, I went, no ring. Okay, now there were 5 ships that were docked that were all visiting the San Juan, this nightclub. So fast forward with this whole story, the gist of the story for the sake of time. When I came out of the restroom, my mom was there. And so, and I was white and, whiter. And she said, and I told her, well, she kind of let me have it. And so my minister and her husband who were great mentors to me and still are, were on the cruise. And of course, I went right to them, especially Dr. Carolyn, because I did spiritual counseling with her, and I could cry and carry on and, And she said, not to worry, I will begin treatment. So as the days went on the cruise, which was about a week, I had occasion to talk with her about it because I was still learning a lot. I mean, I'm still learning, but I was really still learning. And I was like, well, what are you treating for? How are you? What are you focusing on? And being the great teacher that she is, she never missed a moment to tell me, to teach me. And she knew that she had a very receptive student. And she said, well, there's two things going on here. One is that your job is to look into yourself and to release any place in you that feels not deserving of being on this cruise. It was gifted to me. Any place within me that feels that I am not worthy or deserving of this massive ring, because I never didn't wear it anyway, I just pulled it out for the cruise. And so I made that the focus of my attention, my inner attention, and declaring my worthiness and asking myself the questions, is there this place within me? And, infinite spirit, my intuition would tell me where it was. The second thing that she said is that, so she was focusing on that, the knowing within me by divine consciousness, what is mine by right of consciousness. And for the person that walked into the stall and picked up my ring, that there was conscience, that the divinity within that individual was unfolding their conscience. Now remember, I said there were 5 ships that were docked there. And so during the week, we did all the things that you would do. Went to the desk, told the captain. We put up on the board, lost the ring on the bulletin board. The captain even said that he would announce to the other captains of the ships, which whether he did or not, I don't know, but I thought it was wonderful. He said he would. And on the last day of the cruise, when we were getting ready to embark, I'm like, well, I had brought myself to a place that I was okay with whatever the outcome was, because I had had a transformation. And whether that ring came back to me or not, I knew it was mine, that those things were mine by right of consciousness. And I believed in the treatments that my minister was doing. As we prepared to embark, we're asked to gather for customs and all of that. And somebody came out and announced and called my name, Christine Jeffers, come to the blah, blah, blah. I walked over there. Your ring has been found. It was turned in this morning. The person that had your ring was on our ship. And what I found out before we got off the ship that day was that the morning, that day of embarking, the husband had gone to the desk to do accounting. And he said, I don't know what made me turn my head and look at the announcement board, and I saw your notice that said the ring was lost. And I went back to my room and I said to my wife, the owner of that ring is on this ship. He also made a statement that indicated she really didn't want to give it up. But he told her, I never saw her, only him, but he told her, you must. It's the right thing. And so I walked down these long stairs from the room that we were in where I was hearing all this information, and he was standing at the bottom of the stairs holding my ring out like this, which I could not see because there was a overhang until I got down and my ring came into view, him holding it just like this. And here is your ring. She didn't say in her treatment how it was going to happen. She said, the individual that has that ring has a conscience. That's the God self within. And what I'm knowing is that conscience is coming forward and speaking. And for Christine, that she knows that she is worthy and deserving of being on this cruise. And all the good things of life. I could have gone home without the ring and had a wonderful manifestation. But it was even more than that. And I think it's a really beautiful example of how you treat for something. Don't you? It's a great story. And I still have the ring. And I still don't wear it very often because it sticks up too high. But it is my ring, and I know that. And so, Christine, and so each one of you, if you only knew, and actually there is that within you that does know, that you are strong, that you are whole, that you are fully equipped for the life that you are living. That you have so much more to give, to express, in whatever way works for you. And that whatever it is that you choose, whatever it is that calling is coming up within you, like as a vocation, something that you know if you don't answer the call, if you don't step up to it and embody it and choose it, that you won't be living your purpose. And that's what you are here for. That everything that is going on in your life, even if you call it bad, an illness, a financial situation, a challenging relationship, something that you greatly desire that you are not yet experiencing, the not is the opportunity that tells you it is something that is close to your heart and that you are ready, that you are deserving, that you are in your right place. And that what is appearing before you as an obstacle or a block or a condition is an opportunity. Just as the Chinese symbol says, right? An opportunity. So I have written down in my notes, there is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is my life now. I'm going to say this a few times, and I invite you, if and when you are ready, join in. We're going to make it like a chant. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is my life now. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is my life now. There is only one life. That life is my life. That life, there is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is my life now. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is my life now. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is my life now. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is my life now. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is my life now.